Andrew, so on this breaking news from the MUA, so to an extent they've rolled over for 12 months, have they?
Yeah, they've said we'll roll over the talks around the CBA. We'll keep things as they are for another year if Patrick agree and the Fair Work Commission today. And that's a way politically out of it when the PM's intervene now and, you know, it's not the best time to be asking for a pay rise. So I think they'll be hoping Patrick accept it. If not, they'll be trying to use it to say, well, it's Patrick who want to keep this fight going, not us.
Are they likely to get 2.5% though in the current climate?
I don't think so, but, you know, I mean, they're hoping that's a problem a year away.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember being on the wars for the last dispute. That was something else.
Yeah, yeah.
The unions sort of lost there.
Yeah, but it's still going to the Fair Work Commission today.
It is, absolutely. I think the government's pretty happy, though, after the PM's comments that the union appear to be kind of backing down.
OK. Well, let's get to hotel quarantine. This is something that the Prime Minister was talking about yesterday as well. It's an interesting point and it got a lot of people excited, the fact that international travellers may well be allowed to quarantine at home rather than hotels as long as it's from, you know, a reasonably COVID-safe country. Do you see this happening? Well,
Scott Morrison likes to throw things out and then a few months later they can come to fruition, can't they? I know the AAHPC are actually advising on this at the next meeting of National Cabinet, which is about October 16, I think. So it's something they're considering. And I guess for New Zealand it makes perfect sense, right? Yeah. There's no COVID in New Zealand. Taiwan.
The Japan's there as well?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it worries people justifiably because the whole Victorian lockdown for like 3 months was a hotel quarantine league, so it's kind of counterintuitive. But I guess if it's from a COVID-free country, and that's all he's talking about, it makes sense. I think it's something that Jane Holton, the former leading bureaucrat, she did a report on hotel quarantine. That's something she suggested. She also suggested 7 days instead of 14. Do people have to quarantine for 14? So they'll have a look at all this, but ultimately, given they've put the states in charge of quarantine, it'll be up to the states. And I think you'll find in New South Wales, for example, Gladys Berejiklian will take a very conservative approach. But, I mean, if we don't get a vaccine, they're going to have to start looking at these things pretty seriously and then maybe serious monitoring of people at home. I mean, it's a real challenge for next year, put it that way.
Yeah, well, conversely, though, I mean, the government hasn't changed its forecast of when they expect the vaccine to come through. So they're still looking at January next year. Perhaps the closer...
I don't buy it.
I don't either. I
don't buy it.
But the closer it gets to January, and if it does look as though the vaccine's still on, then maybe you start allowing more people knowing that a vaccine is not too far away. Risky, though.
Vaccine doesn't solve all your problems either, necessarily. I mean, I know you get the certificate from people who come in saying they've had the vaccine, but does it work with everyone? How long does it work for, etc.?
Yeah. Just on the latest announcement, pre-budget announcement today, it's about trying to get fruit pickers out to the regional areas. They can earn $300 before their welfare entitlements start being dropped. Is this doable, do you think? Is it going to... Because this is the problem. People don't want to go out there.
Well, it's pretty hard work for not much money, even with that, right? Because you used to do it. You were just telling me. So tell us that story.
Pick bananas. I lasted 1 day.
Did you?
It was too hard.
Have you got a journo's soft hands like me?
Mate, look at these hands. Hey? That's what you get from a lifetime
journalism
of avoiding manual labour. So I was hopeless. I went and delivered...
1 day?
Instead. Yeah.
Mate.
The pay was better.
You could have lasted more than 1 day. How much did you get for the day's work?
I can't even remember now. It was back when I was 12, 13 years old, so I wasn't legally even
allowed to
work.
How hard is it? What's the difficulty with it? You're climbing up and...
back-breaking. Yeah. No, it's just back-breaking stuff for a young buck.
Yeah, look, I mean, the danger, I suppose, is this isn't enough, you know, and this is just one of many, many areas where having no immigration this year really hurts us.
Yeah.
You know?
And you've got the creepy crawlies in the trees as well. It's just very unpleasant. I don't want to get bitten by these strange things.
1 day. Probably 1 day longer than I'd last anyway.
The target audience. I don't think it's going to work. Andrew Clennell, good to see you. Talk to you soon.